you tired of being weighed down? Have you fallen asleep on your health? This is your wake up call with my dad, Keith, my husband, Kyle, and me, Ashley.
Good morning, everyone. It is day 185, and this is your wake up call. It is Wednesday morning. Um, I'm one day through the conference, and then yesterday was um, the day of the funeral for Ashley and the whole crew there. Um, so, how did your day? I mean, it's hard to say how did your day go when you know that you guys been to a funeral, but kind of talk me through yesterday. What went
Um,
on?
well, we went to the funeral, which was at the funeral home. And she was also buried at the cemetery at the funeral home, so that was good in the fact we didn't have to drive around
All
to
of the
several different
creation,
places, right?
yeah.
Um, and the funeral didn't hit me as hard as I was anticipating, and I think it's because her grandson officiated, and he didn't mention her brothers and sisters, or her brothers at all. She didn't have any sisters, which would have been my grandfather. He didn't mention, any of that. So, he kind of focused on more of her life after she had kids and grandchildren. And, so yeah, there was like zero mention of my grandfather. Even though he wasn't mentioned, of course, I was sitting there thinking about him a lot, but just the fact that nothing was said about it kind of made it a little easier on me,
Yeah.
I thought it was really neat though. She was a quilt maker. There's no telling how many quilts she made in her lifetime. And so on her casket they had a quilt that she made covering it, and then they had like 5 or 6 pews reserved for the family to sit in, and they had quilts draped over the backs of those pews. And I thought that was a neat thing to have those
It
out.
was.
And they're beautiful, all of them. And that's another thing. During the funeral, I was sitting there looking at these quilts that were on the pew in front of me, and they're all hand stitched. There's seriously no telling how many hours were put into each of those quilts. So that was neat. And then, we went to the graveside, which was also pretty short. They just read a scripture and then, did all that. And my grandparents are buried in the same cemetery, so we walked across the cemetery and looked at their gravestone for a few minutes, and then we left and we had lunch at one of our favorite spots. That was also one of our grandparents' favorite spots. It's called Greenbrier Barbecue, and so yeah, like I said a couple days ago, we're not eating very great, but this place they serve barbecue and catfish and smoked chicken. Those are their main things. And so we went there as a family and ate, and that's pretty much pretty much the summary of what we did yesterday.
Yeah, it was a nice funeral. I got to see several of my cousins I don't get to see very often,
Yeah.
and some other family members that I don't see very much. So that was the good part.
Right.
And we were kind of lucky. It was overcast and all, so the temperature wasn't as hot as it could have been.
Yeah.
Walking around in a suit or whatever, it was
Yeah.
tolerable.
Yeah.
But it was good to see folks, and we're getting ready to get back on the road and come back to North Carolina right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate that. I wish y'all could stick around for a few days, but people gotta get back to work, I guess.
Yep.
People got responsibilities. Yeah. Well, glad that y'all had a good day yesterday.
Yeah.
It's always hard. It's always hard going to those, funerals and stuff with family, and can't help but think of the people that you've got that aren't here, have gone on. It rekindles a lot of feelings and stuff. So.
It does, but as far as a funeral goes, it was, I guess, the best it could have been,
Yep.
Yeah. Well, my day yesterday was pretty much all sitting around listening to lectures and presentations and group discussion, and they provided breakfast, breakfast was pretty good. A lot of fruits, vegetables. They provided lunch. A lot of options there. They had this salad that I tried called wheat berry. It was kind of just like how brown rice is kind of tough. This is just kind of like the next level of
like, isn't there a cereal made out of that stuff? What's it called?
Probably, but it was kind of tough. It wasn't my favorite. But they did have some salad option. And then I think it was like chicken, grilled chicken was an option, salmon, I think. So that was our lunch. They provided us breakfast and lunch, which was nice. And then you guys went to Greenbrier Barbecue. I went to a place called Sugar Fire in St. Louis, and it was a legit barbecue place. It's been featured on all kinds of Cooking Network, Food Network, TV shows, and honest to goodness, some of the best barbecue I've ever had in my life. I had a kind of a combo sampler type thing. And most of the time you order something like that, it's not a huge portion. It's kind of like, let me get, some ribs, and you might get 2 ribs and like brisket, and you get a piece of brisket. Well, they weren't shy at this place. So, really it could have been enough to split between 2 people. So I had some of that, and then it was, like I said, really good. A lot of sauce options. But it was pretty good. And then we walked back, and I hit my step goal again. And they've got the coolest thing here. They've got these little scooters, but they're electric scooters. Like they're powered scooters. And, you can rent them, to go all over town. And
did y'all rent one?
No.
Oh.
No. We,
felt like it after eating all that meat.
Yeah, the walk to the barbecue place was a lot shorter than the walk back from the barbecue place. Sure. But I was able to hang in there, even with eating more than I probably needed to. I was still able to walk and not get out of breath or anything. So that was good. Then we went back to the hotel room, and I slept hard.
I was Kyle and I were talking the other day, and we were like, we've had a rough, it's been like 6 or 8 weeks now where our diet has just sucked. Like, we'll do 3 or 4 days in a row, maybe 5, where we're just really great. And then we keep slipping back into this not eating good stuff for various reasons. And that's what makes weeks like this even worse, because, going on a conference or, us going to Greenbrier or whatever, that's not so big a deal, to do that for a few days in a row. But what makes it worse is that we've been doing this for several weeks now, and so we're just adding on to whatever damage we've already done. So, I really want to get back to that point where we are, our life is eating right and making the right choices, so that when we have weeks that come up like this, it isn't a big thing. It's just, well, we're off of it for a few days and then we're going to come right back.
Right.
I've really got to work hard to get back to that kind of
that
we had going 2 months ago.
Yeah. Well, we gotta let y'all get on the road. I gotta get downstairs. Running out of time before we get started with today. So, everybody, thanks for listening this morning. We really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe. You can follow us at Our Heavy House on Facebook and Instagram. We'd love to interact with you there. Thanks, and we'll see you tomorrow.